So now we'll deal actually in finding parameters like Z parameter, Y parameter, ABCD parameter and H parameter in the coming sections. You will feel difficulty like how to give the naming for the parameter. Now we'll do the naming of parameters. How to name the parameters? Okay. So in general, if we have a variables like v1, v2, I1 and I2. So in general, what is actually impedance means? Voltage by current. What is the impedance means? Current by voltage. You already know that. To get, and again, this is impedance will call, and this is admittance. Suppose the response, which is output voltage by output or input voltage, that is V2 by V1, this is called gain, voltage gain. And again, vice versa, if you get V1 by V2, this is also a voltage gain. Similarly, current by current or current by current is called current gain. So for example, if you have current I2 by I1 is said to have a current gain. So what are the responses we get is, we may get voltage by current or current by voltage, and voltage by voltage and current by current. So this is called say. So for this two-port network, this is V1, I1, and this is a standard representation. Okay. So what is the response to the input? If you say the response to the input, so we're giving supply and taking the response, for example. So we have four variables, V1, V2, I1 and I2. So for example, if a parameter occur like V1 by I1, okay. In this case, if V1 by I1, if V2 equal to 0 or V1 by I2 for I1 equal to 0, again I2 equal to 0, V1 by I2 for I1 equal to 0. In this case, the response which is get is impedance, okay, that is in the form of V by I. We name that as V2 by open circuiting. V2 means where voltage is getting 0, it means short circuit. If voltage is 0, we will name initially as short circuit. So response which is getting is impedance response. So impedance, this is the port input volt 1. So V1 I1, that is from input voltage and input current. So input voltage by input current means input impedance. Simply the response V1 by I1 is short circuit input impedance. You need to name that. By which condition? By making the output voltage at 0. That is short circuit input impedance. We name that. Similarly, if for example, in the other case, if we get response V1 by I2, this is also impedance response. But if you see carefully, the response I1 and I2, that means we are taking input response first initially and output response initially. That means now it is called a open circuit. We name this as open circuit by open circuiting this reverse transfer impedance. So why I said reverse? So there may be a reason for reverse. Why means, in general, if we are giving input to the system, we are getting the response. If the response by input means it is forward thing, okay, actually we need that. So we are giving response, we require response. So response by input means, that is, if for example, output by input, that means some, for example, V2 by I1 or I2 by V1. The response means output voltage by input current or output current by input current, that is response output by input. All these are named as forward thing. Okay, this is forward impedance. This is forward admittance. When coming to reverse, if the response is ulta, that is input by output, that is V1 I2 or I1 V2, then it is called as reverse thing. So what are the maybe the reverse impedance or reverse admittance. So in this case we got output input by output, therefore it is labeled as reverse. What is that reverse? Transfer impedance. So output input by output. For example, naming other thing, if we consider when I1 equal to 0, okay. For example, I am taking this as a prime thing. So V2 by V1 when I1 equal to 0, let us take, and the response V2 by I1 when V1 equal to 0, on the response V2 by I2 when I1 equal to 0. Let us take the random things, which is not specific one, but I am taking the random, will occur later sections. So in this I am naming that I1 equal to 0, that means something is open, current is open on the input port, we take it as open circuit. Open circuit, what do we got? Voltage by voltage. This is, we will say this as forward gain. Why we name forward gain? Forward voltage gain. This we will call forward voltage gain. So voltage gain is V2 by V1. So we need response by input. Therefore, output by input is forward thing. For example, if we get V1 by V2, for another case, for example, I1 by equal to 0, and this is named as reverse voltage gain. So everything will be occurred in the later section. That's why I am initially discussing this. So, for example, in this case, we are making V1 equal to 0, that is input port is shorted. That means U will be occurred. It is called as short circuit. The response which you are getting is in impedance. So according to our output by input, therefore this is called short circuit forward impedance, transfer impedance. For example, this also, this is what you are doing, V1 equal to 0, that is open circuit. You are open circuit. V2 by I1, so impedance you are getting. What is impedance? Not response of any other impedance, only single port, that is second port. Therefore, this is called open circuit output port, output impedance. Okay, so for four variables, we have 6 type of parameters. In these 6 type of parameters, we have individual parameters, that is 4 individual parameters. For that all individual parameters, you can get many combinations. Whatever the combinations you get, but you need to follow the same principles. That is, if you input by output means we'll call it as reverse. Output by input means we'll call it forward. And by if you got similar voltages means we get voltage gain. Similar currents means current gain. If for example, if you current gain, for example, if you say the current gain, but it can at different conditions. So if we take V1 equal to 0, then it is called open circuit, short circuit current gain, a forward gain, and some other, many other things are there. So you will be coming to occur all these things while discussion. Okay, thank you.